Speedy, Sporty, and Swifty. These are the words that you expect in a race car, a muscle car, or a sports car. Except you are some type of speed freak, you wouldn't go looking for heart-splitting speed and head-spinning acceleration in a truck. Or maybe you could. Maybe you could get a truck that sped past super fast cars and held the title for the fastest accelerating vehicle in a world where Corvettes, Ferraris, and Lamborghini existed. Maybe you could get a truck that literally took the auto world by storm. Maybe you could get a truck that Buick ideated, Chevy rejected, and GMC perfected. Maybe you could get the 1991 GMC Syclone. The year was 1988, and as the 80s were gradually slipping into the 90s, Americans were slowly but surely slipping from acid-wash jeans to hammer pants. Yeah, the days of bold fashion choices and trends started way before Gen Zs. But while this fashion revolution was going on, a mechanical revolution was also brewing across state lines in General Motors' large family house. It started with General Motors canceling the G-body platform. The platform formed the foundation for many of the vehicles that GM and its subsidiaries made in the 1970s and 1980s. The Grand National, Chevy Monte Carlo, the Buick Regal Type T, Buick GNX, Chevy Malibu, and many others. You see, it was a decade of speed, high performance, and class, and the American boys were on it. In fact, we did a deep dive on the topic recently, and you can check out the story of the vehicles built on the G-body platform by clicking the link in the description box. So, back to the story, GM decided to cancel this platform, and the engineers at GM and its subsidiaries were pained. But they were pained in different ways. That was exactly how the engineers at Buick felt with the announcement of the G-body platform cancellation. At the time, Buick engineers were kind of like the bad boys at General Motors. Bad boys in a good way. They had built the Grand National, a car that took Buick from a relatively silent sibling in the GM family to one of the proudest, loudest, and boisterous brothers. The Grand National brought fame, glory, and of course, sales and money to the GM coffers. But with the G-body platform that carried it getting canceled, it meant no more Buick Grand National, and things were about to get boring for the engineers. But not for all of them, more specifically, not for Kim Nielsen. Kim was a GM employee, a drag race junkie, and even a stronger junkie on the high speed and performance of muscle cars. He worked on 7 Buick Grand Nationals built between 1986 and 1987, so he knew everything about building fast cars. More specifically, building fast cars that nobody expected to be fast. Together with some other engineers, he took the turbocharged V6 engine in the Buick Grand National and placed it in one of GM's compact trucks, the Chevy S10, birthing the idea of a very fast compact truck. The idea sounded great, and he approached his superiors at Buick but was met with a resounding no. Well, we can't blame them. Their highly coveted Grand National is retiring, and they were probably still in the mourning phase. Kim also approached the Bowtie Boys at Chevrolet with the idea. Seeing as its S10 truck carried the idea, one would expect the Chevy boys to be more receptive to the idea. But nope, it seemed that they were still smitten by the superior performance that the Buick Grand National pulled on their Corvette, and they were not in the mood to associate with the Buick boys. Yeah, typical sibling rivalry. But here is the thing. When siblings are going at it, who settles the rift for them? Daddy. GMC stepped in and, in a Big Daddy voice, asked what all the bickering was about. Kim Nielsen explained his idea, and GMC said, "Let's do it." Kim Nielsen took the job as a project planner at GMC and pitched the idea of the truck to GM's work group. And in a similar fashion to all the stiff suits in car companies, the ones at GMC work group came up with a dozen reasons why the truck would not work. They said that a truck with turbo engines and 4-wheel anti-lock brakes would take 7 years to build and cost about $200 million to produce a couple of thousand units. So no, the idea would not work. Again, let's get a petition to stop stiff suits and CEOs from making decisions relating to the production of vehicles. Imagine the number of iconic cars we would not have had if engineers listened to stiff suits and paper pushers. Anyways, Kim Nielsen was not only a visionary, he was also a project planner, and one of his core duties was to shorten the time between ideation and execution while keeping costs at the barest minimum. So he said, nope, their projection was wrong, and got to work. In the end, he built the vehicle in 1.5 years and only spent $14 million. Now, let's get this straight. It was not as easy as we make it sound. Hell, Kim had to go the unconventional way and circumvent the bureaucracy in GM. He contracted and pitched 2 top engineering firms against each other to build the engine for the planned truck. Before you ask why they needed a new engine since the Buick Grand National engine was used in the prototype, let's explain. Yes, the Buick's 3.8 liters turbocharged V8 engine was the power plant in the truck's prototype, but Buick was not building this engine anymore because there were no Grand Nationals again. And also, the warranty costs of oil leaks and blown gaskets were increasing by the day. So Kim had ASC McLaren, yeah, an engineering consultancy offshoot of the McLaren Company, and Production Automotive Services, PAS, build a 4.3-liter muscle truck engine. As you can expect, the contest was fierce, but Kim could only settle for one. So he went for the Beast engine built by PAS. PAS did not only fit a turbo to the 4.3-liter engine as ASC McLaren did, the engineers went further by adding a Chevy Astravans all-wheel drive system and gauge cluster from the Pontiac Sunbird's turbo, basically creating a monster that carried different GM heritages. So PAS won the contract to build the engine, supervise emission controls, and ultimately build the truck, with help, of course, from some GM engineers and insiders. The people at PAS got to work and added some low compression pistons, upgraded internals, and an intercooled turbo. These additions took the horsepower from 160 horsepower to 280 and 350 foot-pounds of torque, all of which was sent to the Astravans all-wheel drive system used in the vehicle. The all-wheel drive system also had a center viscous coupling that was set to transfer 65% of its power to the rear wheel, where it met with a limited slip diff. Yeah, we know that's a lot of technical gibberish, but translated to the English you speak, this truck was a beastly speed machine and monster. And here's why. The first model of the truck tested did a 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds, which was exactly the same acceleration in the newly released Corvette ZR1 at the time. And it gets even better. This particular test drive was done in the rain. On the dry road, the truck completed 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds. Hello and goodbye to the ZR1. Goodbye to the Lamborghini Diablo 2. Only the Ferrari F450 was faster than this monster truck at the time, and it only beat the truck by 1/10 of a second. And it gets even better. Before the Ferrari F40 beat it, the Syclone was tested against a Ferrari 348 TS, and the truck beat it to 60 miles per hour acceleration and also through the quarter-mile race, which was very crazy seeing as the Ferrari was sold for $122,000 at the time, and the truck only cost $25,000. It is fine to take a minute out to exclaim and rave about this absolute monstrosity that this truck is. The truck was so fast that it held the title of the fastest accelerating vehicle for the next 30 years. For a better perspective, that's twice as long as the McLaren F1 held the record as the fastest sports car. And to make matters more interesting, the truck was a limited edition. GMC only made 3,000 units within its 1.5 years of production. But it was not all rosy. Behind all its speed and acceleration, it lacked the usability of a proper pickup truck. Of course, it could haul ass, but not if the ass weighs more than 500 pounds. And while its engine was well engineered, we can't say the same for its chassis engineering. The truck's handling was not all that, and it negotiated bends in rough terrains like a baby giraffe, meaning no off-roading. Finally, the price tag, while $25,000 is a steal for a truck that fast, the Chevy 454 SS cost about a third of that price and offered far more utility. The Chevy's muscle truck came with a 7.8-liter V8 engine, a full-size body, and a half-ton payload. Basically, the template for a super usable pickup truck. So this made it a tad difficult to sell the truck to hardcore truck drivers and off-roaders. In an effort to capitalize on the success of the Syclone, GMC released the Typhoon 1 year later. And no, this is not another truck that took the industry by storm. It was an SUV. The company basically took the Syclone and placed it in a GMC Jimmy body. Now, there is more space for 4 passengers and more cargo load capacity, 900 pounds, so yeah, it did better than the Syclone and sold 4,700 units. These two vehicles were referred to as the Syties and remain some of the best vehicles GMC ever made. While the Typhoon stands out as the first genuinely fast SUV, the Syclone remains unarguably the coolest truck that ever graced the highways. Now, there is news that GMC is planning to bring back the super fast truck for the 2023 model. For now, all we have seen is the render for the truck, and we can only say that we hope the truck's features and speed are as aggressive as the render looked.